What you're doing? Does the government love what you're doing?
No, I don't support the government.
So it's only us.
Ordinary people to stick together, whatever colour they are, whatever background. That's the way to be.
Do you actually believe that everyone coming over are legitimate asylum seekers? Do you really believe that?
Most of them are, yeah.
No, most of them. You really believe that?
Them pedos, I'm undocumented.
Look, I'm racist. I've got a daughter, she's 13.
Yeah.
She's sleeping with me and a mum because the council now for 15 years won't give us an house.
Yeah.
I phoned the council. I said, why can't you give us an house? Because this house is empty. But they're legal immigrants having them. Why?
We need more houses.
He said they've been on the
more
system.
houses.
Go back to
many of the
we
people
need
who
to
build
grow up our boards and say we can't accept it because we ain't got it.
The reason there's a housing crisis in this country is because powerful people want to make money out of houses instead of provide them for ordinary people. And that's what we need to worry about.
The government need to stand up.
Well, the government needs to stand up to the rich developers, the big business, who just want to see housing as a way to make money and not to provide it for ordinary people.
I agree with that.
Okay, but that's what we need to work on. Scapegoating a few migrants doesn't solve the
But
problem.
them coming in the country claiming they've got no money, how do they pay the people to come over on the boat? They pay them money, right? And then they
Sometimes
come
their
over.
families do, don't they? I mean, they're desperate people. Why would you put your...
Their countries are safer than this. France is safer.
How can you be an asylum seeker?
I think the problem is that people like Farage have got us fighting amongst each other.
No.
Farage in the situation.
How can anyone be an asylum seeker coming from France? France is a safe place. So you've already sought asylum.
Well, they haven't in most cases, as I understand it. But the point is that
all of you come to
the more
England is
anger
free.
you focus on a few people arriving like that, the less anger.
The taxes arrive.
The less anger that goes on the people who are really responsible for this mess. There is a mess.
Get a gun.
Can I ask a question? Are you housing
We
any?
need houses.
Are you housing any illegal migrants?
Personally, I'm here to get us to stand together. We're not interested in discussing.
But are you housing an illegal
I'm
migrant?
looking for unity to fight for better housing.
So do you
better
think
jobs.
shouting racism at people's causing unity, or do you think that causes division?
I want unity. I want ordinary people standing together so we can sort out the real problems.
So stop calling people racist.
I said we need ordinary people standing together, whatever race, whatever background, to fight for jobs
We can't
and
take them in
housing.
because we haven't got enough space to pour our
The
own
problem
in.
is
And they're
we need
raping.
more
They're coming in with
housing has been a
Them grooming
disaster
our
in this
kids and raping our women.
Do you know the mad thing, look, you got that group of people over there, arguing with each other, and no one's saying nothing to the government. If both of these work together, you know what I mean? This isn't the confrontation.
The government will
innit?
just take you.
And you know the funny thing about it? If you pick apart what they're saying and you pick apart what they're saying the exact same thing, that you can't carry on the way it's going. And all that's happening is divide and conquer. The government and the press are making these two groups of people argue while they do whatever they want.
You have got one side though saying you're racist, you're fascist,
Really?
all refugees are welcome here. These are turning around and saying it's got to stop. So there is a bit of a.
Do you know what?
That's
Not helpful, because whenever you start judging people or calling people's names, you break down the ability to communicate. Do you know what I mean? And the last thing they want is a group of people up there saying, "Oh, use like this, use like that." So they shouldn't say, vice versa.
No, I agree with that, mate. I agree with that.
I'm sticking up for the government. And it is the government.
Nah, I don't. Listen, believe me and you. These people do not stick up with the government whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Because of the crimes that they're doing all around the world, in Palestine, in Iraq and all that. Yeah, that's it. But don't get it twisted. These lot was happy with the government. They wouldn't be protesting. They wouldn't be saying the stuff that they're saying.
Protesting against
Anyway, let's have a little look round.
You are targeting your anger at the young people. You are targeting your anger at people that can do nothing to help you change things. If you're that and you sound like a bunch of football hooligans, and I really, really hope you can see how stupid you look at the moment, because you've got no answers. All you can do is point fingers. You read GP News, you read the daily media, and you listen to the racist rhetoric that comes out of Parliament, and you're deceived by that. And I feel sorry for you.
Everybody racist when they're not actually that. People might just go in the end, fuck it. And I think that sort of thing will potentially make it rise, you know, racism. Same with the homophobia. I feel like that's been on the rise.
We're only really here because them lot are here. If they weren't here, trust me, mate, I'll be in Costa Coffee having a cup of coffee and a plate.
So you're not respecting their right to protest? I know, but you've just said if they weren't here, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So every time they're going to come out and have an opinion, you're going to come and try and close it down.
I've got an offer. That's democracy, mate.
No, it is. But what I've noticed when I go up and down the country and I try and cover both sides, is when the Palestine protests go ahead, you never see the right turn up and counter it. Now it's very rare. It's very rare, and the police have admitted that doesn't happen as much as the left countering the right. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. You talk about democracy, but you try to shut down one side's opinion. That in itself is not democracy, my friend.
It's a debate,
It's not democracy, my friend.
Like, you've got a right to say something, or I've got a right to say something, and you've got a right to challenge it. What's wrong with that? I do think that we should have a conversation, do you know what I mean?
But when you come and challenge it, and it's done in the way of you're far right, you're racist, you're fascist, that doesn't... I
was chatting to your friend here, right, yeah? And I'm pretty calm, all right? And quite a lot of the guys here are calm. I mean, I don't want to be uncalm, because I've seen some of them lads and they're tanks, you know what I mean? But every single one I've been on, I've been called a packy, go back to where you came from, all the rest of it, all right?
I wouldn't agree with that.
That happens. And I was saying to your friend here, there ain't no pushback. So in a sense, there's one guy doing it, nobody taps him on the shoulder and goes, bro, no, you're not us. Stop doing that. Everyone's, yeah, go on, and they get a cheer. Yeah. So if a group of people are calling me a packy, what else am I going to conclude?
I understand. I get that.
You don't call me a packy. I'm going to say, brother, I'll go there, I'll chat to you. You got a problem with numbers of the signs? Let's have a chat. Let's have a coffee. I've said, let's go for a curry. Come on, sit down. I'm old school. Let's go for a drink, have a row, say you fucking this, you that, and then afterwards you have a laugh about it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then when somebody says packy, or somebody says, I want asylum seekers dead, I don't want them to have oxygen, I feel that that's a bit much, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm going to say to that. And people have said that, and people have gone, hey! Like there was a flood in Pakistan, right? 200 people died. People are laughing, saying, oh, you know, at least that's 200 people not coming on the boats. Well, come on, mate, do you know what I mean?
See, for me, like, I'm against the boats, but at the same time, you know, refugees, when you're saying refugees are welcome, I'd agree with that. Legitimate refugees, and I feel like as a nation, we've been very hospitable. There's people of, hospital. We've brought many people from many different nations in this country. We've all lived side by side for a long time, for the most part, in peace. But I fear that some of these people coming over now, they're coming over under the guise or under the identity of asylum seeker, but I don't feel they are. Now, I'm not saying some aren't, but I don't believe all of them are.
What do you think they're coming here for?
They're coming here because they get everything on tap, everything's free. Now, that isn't our fault, that's not your fault, that's the government's fault. The government should do more.
Can I ask you a question, Have you sat down and chatted to any of them?
Said, migrants?
Yeah, all these people.
Yeah, of course.
And they say, I've come here because I want to get £9 a week from a hotel.
But mate, Coddy did actually find a migrant up in Manchester.
Yeah, some have been on camera saying they're here because they get everything. Literally, I've had that.
When they say they get everything, what they mean is, I want to work. Yeah. So a lot of the ones I've spoken to, they say, you know, I want to work. I want to send money home to my family. All right. And I'll ask you a question, right? I don't know if you're a dad or not, but just pretend you are. All right. And you got a couple of kids, right? If the only way you could put food on the table, right, was to go illegally through France to Germany, and that's the only way you can work and put food on the table, would you do it?
The thing is, if I had to go through France, I've already sought
No,
asylum.
you can't work there. No,
why not?
No, you can't. It's illegal to work in France. The only way you can get work is in Germany.
So you could say France are doing it the right way then, right?
No, I'm asking you a question. Never mind France, never mind Britain. I'm talking about you and your kids. Would you work illegally to put food on the table?
No.
So I would. I would.
See, this is the problem. So like you say asylum seekers, yeah? These people predominantly, they obviously come from different parts of the world, but before us, they're in France. Once they get to France, once they get to Germany, any other European countries, they've already found a safe haven at that point.
Well, look, two things. First of all, the majority of them do. Secondly, I think a lot of people make their way to Britain because they got contacts and they want to work.
But I've had some migrants say to me, like I spoke to some in Manchester, and I said, how come you were in Germany and you decided to move to France? How come you spent a year in France and then came to Britain? Because Britain will give me papers. Germany, they won't give me papers. France, they won't give me papers.
But that's reasonable, isn't it? Because if they say, I want to...
Yeah, no, it's reasonable. It's reasonable.
It's a bit like me saying, I went for that job there, they didn't give me the job. So I went for the other job, so I went there and I got a job there.
So, but this is the problem. As a nation, we're making it too easy for people.
It's not, mate, trust me.
Of course it is.
It's not.
Of course it is.
I think it is.
Where do you think most asylum seekers go?
Where do I think they go?
Yeah.
What do you mean, where do I
It's
think
like
they go?
Syrians, where do most of them go?
I know that Germany take a big, massive influx of elite. I think they even take more than us, Germany.
Not only Iran.
Who do you think took the most?
Pardon?
Which country do you think took the most Syrian asylum seekers?
I don't know, maybe Germany. If we're talking about Europe, I'd say probably Germany.
Most went to Turkey or the Lebanon because they're close to Syria. Literally millions, several million went to Turkey, several million went to Lebanon, right? A lot of asylum seekers normally seek asylum in the nearest country, but there's nothing, that says asylum seekers can't seek asylum anywhere. And of the people that come on the boat so far, 75% have been awarded asylum. So 25% have been rejected, 75% have been accepted for asylum. So they've had a well-founded fear of persecution, right? So, but do you know what? To me, it's all a bit of a diversion, to be honest. From the big issues that we face, homelessness, stagnating wages, crap health service, going down the tubes, those are the big problems we need to address. Asylum seekers, to me, it's not top of my agenda. Does it impact my life much?
Well, whereabouts do you live?
So I live in Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a hotel 200 yards from where I live, full of asylum seekers, right? No problem whatsoever. In fact, before they used it for that, it was mainly used for hen parties and stag weekends, and a lot more problem for those. Pistol vomiting, things like that, right? So it doesn't really impact my life. The things that are impacting my life are what the government's doing.
I'd agree with that. I do feel like, as much as I might stand with them a lot of the time and argue with you guys, I think a lot of that's done by design. I think while we're fighting amongst ourselves,
divide and rule, the most
nothing's ever really gonna...
Yeah, that's the most ancient trick of the boss class in the world, divide and rule. Keep us fighting each other over the scraps.
Yeah.
Meanwhile...
I'll give an example of that. It's a real example, right? Last year, Dudley Council wanted to close a lot of the libraries, right? So we were on a protest, we were looking about occupying the libraries outside the council house every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right, yeah? I would fucking love it if those lads were there with us.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. I would have fucking given them a massive hug, right? They weren't. So, and my vision is, because they're going to go for these libraries again in Dudley.
Yeah.
I want that same energy outside the council house saying, hands off our fucking libraries, hands off our NHS, fuck you private water companies feeding us sewage. We want it renationalised. I want that energy. That's what I want, yeah? We can debate about asylum seekers on the fucking road to saving that library. And my worry is, it's not happening because they're so angry and they're conned into thinking you're better off protecting them asylum seekers, and then the library shuts, and then the fucking hospital shuts, and we get fucked. We can't even afford a fucking house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, listen, guys, I'm going to let you get on with your protest. So I do want to say thank you for talking to me, because a lot of the time I just get shouted at. So I do appreciate it, man. I think it works better this way. When we open dialogue, I think that works a lot better than screaming profanities at one another. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
We should have 80s disco music.
Let's get it going.
It's copyrighted, please.
But take care, man. Enjoy your day. Yeah.
And you've been misguided, just know that you are